fuck is this?
Hey, Barry.
No, where's your you? No, you can't. You you're not Batman.
What's wrong with you?
Uh,
Okay, so I want to talk about the ending of the Flash and what my theory is. Now, remember in like the third act of the film where Barry's in the Chrono Bowl where the multiverses are. Well, there's a very well even before we get into that, there's a very important line in Batman and Robin in the beginning. If you watch the beginning of that movie, if you want to sit through that movie again, I don't recommend it. But there's a very important line in that movie where this is proof that George Clooney's Batman, or the Schumacher version of uh, of the Batman universe, had a Superman in it. And if we watch Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, there's no mention of any DC hero other than Batman and his villains. So Nolan's universe is disconnected from the greater part of the DCEU. But anyways, if you watch Batman and Robin, in the beginning of that movie, Batman makes a joke saying this is why Superman works alone, because Robin was annoying him. Now, notice what George Clooney's Batman says. He says this is why Superman works alone. That means that's proof that Schumacher's universe, Batman universe, has a Superman in it, even though we never get to see that Superman. This is further. There's further evidence for this in Batman Forever, where Bruce Wayne says that the circus would be halfway to Metropolis. There's a line in Batman Forever where he talks about Dick Grayson's circus being in Metropolis, or on their way to Metropolis, which of course is the city of Clark Kent and Superman, or Superman. So it makes sense that George Clooney's, or the Schumacher universe, would be part of the greater multiverse that Barry ends up in. So, like, it makes sense in a way for him to end up in the Schumacher universe of Batman. So, if the Schumacher universe had a Batman in it, that means that or the Schumacher universe is part of the greater DCEU universe, or the multiverse. So like, this is further proof that one of the theories that went around uh, in the 2000s and 2010s was that Michael Keaton's, or Tim Burton's Batman universe and the Schumacher Batman universe were two separate universes. Like the films, like the Tim Burton universe was disconnected from Schumacher's Batman universe, and that's a theory that I never really believed in, because there's a reference of Batman Returns in Batman Forever. There's a little throwaway line about Catwoman. So I always thought that it was Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever, and then Batman and Robin. These four movies were sequels to one another. But the Flash confirms, in my opinion, the Flash confirms that the Schumacher universe is disconnected from the Tim Burton universe, Tim Burton Batman universe. So these two universes are separate, because notice how, like, Michael Keaton's Batman is different from George Clooney's Batman, because this Barry doesn't know who this version of Batman is. So that means that there's two different universes that Michael Keaton's Batman and Schumacher's version of Batman were in, or there's two different universes. So the Flash basically confirms that. But some people were asking, what about Christian Bale? Why wasn't Christian Bale put? And I think it wouldn't make sense if Christian Bale came out. It would be a huge surprise for sure if Christian Bale came out of that limo or that car. I think the audience would have loved that, but it wouldn't make sense in this universe. It made sense because George Clooney talks about a Superman. Like I said, George Clooney talks about a Superman in his universe. That means that there's other DC heroes in the Schumacher Batman universe. That means that they're in the multiverse. They're in the DCEU multiverse. So Tim Burton's Batman and the Schumacher universe of Batman are in the same multiverse as the Flash or the DCEU universe, and to a lesser extent, the TV version of Supergirl, the Flash, etc., are also in the same DCEU universe. So it's very interesting that it made sense when I watched the movie. It made sense that George Clooney would appear in it made sense why George Clooney's version would appear, or even if Val Kilmer came out of that limo or that car, it would also make sense. But George Clooney was the latest Schumacher actor to play Batman. So I liked the ending. I thought the ending was pretty consistent with the Schumacher universe, because we never see the Superman in the Schumacher universe, even though we know there's a Superman in the Schumacher Batman universe. We never see him, so that's proof that the Schumacher Batman universe is in the greater DCEU universe. So my theory is that Barry somehow got dislodged from his timeline or from his universe and somehow ended up in the Schumacher universe. And this universe does have a version of Aquaman, and it probably has a version of a Superman that we don't get to see, that we'll probably never get to see. But it's interesting that George Clooney's Batman knows who Barry is. So it's possible that I like to think that Barry ended up in the Schumacher universe. That's a theory I really like to hold. And another theory is that Barry completely rewrote the timeline when he was doing his multiverse time travel, and then coming back to his timeline, he rewrote the universe, or he rewrote his universe, where this George Clooney's version of Batman somehow ended up in the timeline and erased Ben Affleck's version of Batman. But I don't really see much evidence for that. I don't think that's what happened. I think for some reason Barry probably ended up in the Schumacher universe, and when he ended up in the Schumacher universe by rewriting his past, the timeline, like Barry and George Clooney's version of Batman still met, but the events of the DCEU are now erased, and this Barry just knows the Batman and Robin version of Batman, which is George Clooney. So I like to think that Barry ended up in the Schumacher universe, and he's stuck there. He can't get out, and I think that's a fitting punishment for him for messing up the timelines or trying to rewrite history. So his mother lives. It's like a it's like a warning that you shouldn't like mess with time. You shouldn't mess with the timelines because if you do, the consequences will be dire. And in this case, Barry can't go back to his universe with Ben Affleck and uh, uh, Wonder Woman and all that. Cyborg, he can't go back to that DCU universe. He's stuck in the Schumacher universe. But you know that at least that universe has a Batman, an Aquaman, and possibly a Superman in it. So again, I read somewhere that the Flash ending was changed because the Flash ending was supposed to be Michael Keaton somehow survives the events of the that 2013 timeline, and then Supergirl appears, etc. So I read somewhere that ending WB scrapped that or took out that ending and reshot a new ending with George Clooney. But regardless, this is the final DC. This is like the second to final DCU movie, and I think it's a fitting. I think it's a fitting end where the whole DCU is completely erased, at least from Barry's perspective, and he ends up in the Schumacher universe. I think that's a fitting end for the DCU. So I really like the Flash movie.